All right. How y'all doing today, man? As always, we're brought to you by Alp. Alp is the best nicotine pouches out there. I smoked for 28 years. And when it got to the point where I couldn't even breathe to walk down my driveway, I had to give it up. After a couple of months of no tobacco, no nicotine, I saw a kid with some nicotine pouches. I was like, hey, man, those things any good? He was like, yeah. I was like, let me try one of those. Because I've never been a gum chewer, but I always wanted something to do. So he gave me one. I tried it. I was like, not too bad. And so I started using one of the other brands that's often found in the stores. But then I heard Tucker Carlson say, hey, I gave up on that other brand. Come check out this brand that we're coming out with. So I said, all right, let me give it a shot. So I ordered 3 logs, figured by the time a month was up, I'd gone through 15 cans. I would have had a good idea whether or not I liked them. I loved them. So I put them on recurring order, 3 logs, 15 cans every month for $70, no shipping. And I never looked back. Alp is my favorite brand of nicotine pouches. It delivers the nicotine straight to you without all the harmful carcinogens of the tobacco, like cigarettes and dip and chew and all that crap. You get have several flavors to choose from. I personally like the wintergreen, but there's mint, there's tropical fruit or something like that. I think there's different flavors. I don't know. I'm not into the flavor game. I stick with the wintergreen because back when I was younger and I dipped, that's what I dipped. I dipped wintergreen. And if you use the link in the description below, you get 10% off your order. So use the link in the description below, get 10% off your order and order $70 or more and get free shipping. You have your nicotine coming directly to your house instead of you going out to the store, having to stop on the way to work. You're running late. You're like, crap, I'm already 5 minutes late and I got to stop at the store and grab me some nicotine. And instead of that being the issue, you have it coming directly to your house. So it's very convenient. So go to Alp, use the link in the description below, get your 10% off, and order $70 more and get free shipping. That's Alp, man. I love that stuff. All right, so we're going to get started here. I got some videos to play, I got some commentary to give, and we're going to dive into some more of this Epstein stuff because Trump wants you to shut up.
Sure.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time and do you feel like answering?
So there you go. Trump doesn't want you talking about Epstein anymore. It's a lost cause. We're not going to get the information. They're not going to give it to us. We ought to just shut up. But I'm sorry, there are 1,000 victims of this guy, whether it's this guy in Ghislaine alone or whether it's with this guy trafficking these children to other people, using these children as honeypots, as blackmail tools for world leaders. So we're not going to shut up about it. This is ridiculous. There's no reason that we should have to beg for this kind of information. This kind of information should be like this is the top of the line stuff that you go after. You go after people that are freaking victimizing children. That is number one. That is number one. Murderers, number two. But those that victimize children are number one. You do not put up with people victimizing your children. That is ridiculous. That is not acceptable. And we can't shut up about it. We can't stop talking about it because if we stop talking about it, then they're just going to keep covering it up. One of the major themes of Trump getting reelected was him talking about Epstein and releasing the files and getting the information and getting the facts. Why did Leon Black pay the Virgin Islands $62.5 million to not be charged in affiliation with Jeffrey Epstein? Why? Why did that happen? Why has Les Wexner been accused of rape three different times. One of those times was at Jeffrey Epstein's mansion in New York City. What was Prince Andrew's role with Jeffrey Epstein? Why was Jeffrey Epstein using foreign passports to go into Saudi Arabia, claiming that he had a Saudi Arabian address? Was Jeffrey Epstein intelligence? These are the questions we need answered. Are our tax dollars going to pay for a freaking child sex trafficking operation? More than likely, yes. More than likely, yes. At this point, you have to conclude the answer is yes. And they don't want us to know that that's what we're paying for. My mind is all like over the place when it comes to this story because there's so much information on this story that it's hard to put it into freaking a linear timeline. But let's like talk about this for a minute. Jeffrey Epstein meets Ghislaine Maxwell. Ghislaine Maxwell's father is Robert Maxwell. Robert Maxwell was a Mossad agent. Israel gave Robert Maxwell a funeral, like a hero's funeral, in the streets of Israel when he died by quote unquote falling off his yacht. Now, people think he was thrown. Ghislaine thinks he was killed by Mossad agents. And she was used by her father as a New York debutante so that she could get in connection with the political powerful in New York City for her father's sake. She ended up with Jeffrey Epstein. Her father wanted her to marry a Kennedy. She ended up with Epstein. After her father died, she stayed with Epstein. She began procuring little girls for Epstein. We know that's a fact. We also know it's a fact that Alan Dershowitz has admitted to getting a massage from Virginia Giuffre in his underwear. Appropriate, not appropriate, that's up to you to decide. Fine. Alan Dershowitz has even come out since Pam Bondi has said that we're done with this Epstein case, that there's no client list, that there's no evidence of blackmail. And Alan Dershowitz says, oh, no, there's definitely a client list. And I want y'all to release the client list to clear my name because I'm not on it. And Alan Dershowitz was Jeffrey Epstein's attorney in the 2005 2006 case. Alan Dershowitz was Jeffrey Epstein's attorney. Alex Acosta, who worked for the first Trump administration, was the prosecutor during the 2005 2006 case. Alex Acosta came out and said Jeffrey Epstein got a sweetheart deal because he was told he belonged to intelligence and to take it easy on him, to drop the case, to not pursue it any further. He belonged to intelligence. What was he doing for intelligence? And I have more. There's a Dan Bongino clip I'll pull up right here when he was on Tim Pool. Let me see. Dan Bongino. No, that's DOJ. Bongino, right here. He was on Tim Pool 2 years ago.
So fast forward this story, right? He tells me that about a year and a half after that, I'm in a green room at Fox, and I'm not going to say who because they didn't give me permission to share it. But well, the short story, but not who they are. Says, you know, Epstein's an intelligence asset for people in the Middle East, right? I'm like, no, I didn't know that. I'm like, you sure of that? The person, let's say, is like, I'm absolutely sure of that he's either a witting or unwitting asset, intelligence asset, meaning his plane and that island, the cameras, there's a big assumption out there that these videotapes were exclusively in the custody of Epstein. That's a huge mistake. The reason they wanted this story to go away is because there's an assumption like, oh yeah, Epstein had him. No, he wasn't the only one who had him, according to this source. These assets, that's why this blackmail story makes so much sense. Which Middle Eastern countries?
So who is this? Who is this Middle Eastern country? Well, a lot of people say it's Mossad, and there's a very good case, and there are easy ties between Epstein and Mossad when you follow the Ghislaine Maxwell through Robert Maxwell pipeline. That's fine. But remember, Epstein had an Austrian passport that had Saudi Arabia listed as his home address. I have that story pulled up right here. Let me move this little box here. Jeffrey Epstein used a foreign passport with a fake name to enter several countries in the 1980s, including the United Kingdom, Spain, and Saudi Arabia. Federal prosecutors said Wednesday. The questionable travel document was found inside a safe along with $70,000 in cash and 48 loose diamonds in the New York City home of the wealthy financier and accused sex trafficker. It contained a photo of Epstein with a different name and listed his place of residence as Saudi Arabia, according to prosecutors. Epstein's lawyers filed court papers Tuesday claiming he obtained the Austrian passport in 1982 for personal protection to be presented to potential kidnappers, hijackers, or terrorists. Okay, fine. Why did it have his place of residence as Saudi Arabia? Well, let's look. Let's listen to what Laura Logan had to say just the other day.
I can tell you that I have worked on trafficking issues where there are camps in third world countries that are run by Islamic terrorist groups that are supplied by cartels from Venezuela and Mexico, where there are pipelines of children that go straight to the Saudi royal family, and people in power all over the world. So when you say this can have, dramatic consequences, that's not far-fetched to me. That's very realistic.
Okay, so Laura Logan has worked on child trafficking cases all around the world in which Venezuela and Mexico drug cartels are trafficking children to the Saudi family in other countries. Okay, so, why was Jeffrey Epstein's address posted as Saudi Arabia on an Austrian passport? Why was he spending so much time in the Middle East? What was he doing there? Who did he work for? Did he work for Mossad? Possibly. Did he work for CIA? Possibly. Did he work for the Saudi royal family? Possibly. We don't know, but these are all valid questions. How much of our money went to funding this operation? How much taxpayer dollars went to funding Jeffrey Epstein trafficking children to powerful people around the world? And who are these people? Well, AG Pam Bondi in February swore up and down she had the list sitting on her desk.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
So have you seen anything that you said, oh my gosh?
Not yet.
Okay. Well, we'll check back with you.
So she had it on her desk. Now she's saying there's no such list. Now she's saying it doesn't exist. Well, this is off the PBD podcast just the other day. This infuriated me.
We're promised results. We are not comfortable with anybody having a sex trafficking ring that has control over all of these politicians, over all these celebrities, out of all these singers. Adam, it doesn't sit well if decisions are being made from our government or from another government. Okay, if he did work with Mossad, imagine this, Adam. Imagine you're a congressman, you're a president, you're whoever, you're an actor, and you were there. And then this country, let's say Israel, says, hey, listen, we want you to say X, Y, and Z. And you go, I ain't saying shit. I'm not backing this. I'm not doing that. And they go, oh, really? Check your email. And you open the email, and it's an encrypted video of you hooking up with an underage kid. Then guess what happens? They own you. So imagine policies, rules, laws being made by that. That's number one, Adam. Number two, we were promised if you weren't going to do it, shut the hell up. All of you, from the top to the bottom. Stop bullshitting us, okay? We're not stupid. The average American, you know, they're trying to make MAGA people, we're stupid hicks from down south. We're not stupid. We all know the truth, okay? He fucking worked, sorry for my language. He worked for intelligence. They said he worked for intelligence. We all know who he worked for. Let's stop playing the games. And then they lied. If you weren't going to do it, don't say it. And Pine Bondi, don't sit in a restaurant, talk that shit, and then go on the lawn, White House lawn, and say you have it, and then lie to us as if we're stupid. As if we're stupid, Adam. And the third one is the kids, which should be number one. These kids are either dead or they're ruined for the rest of their lives, Adam. That's what it comes down to. And I'm not.
The other day, was it Friday? I think it was. So the Patrick Bet-David has basically the network that he works with, Valuetainment, and that he owns and operates. And he started a show called Her Take, and it's like direct competition with The View. So it's got 4 chicks on there: Jillian Michaels, Anna Kasparian, Amy Dangerfield, and how that was her name, Lucy Lee or whatever, that girl that used to work for the Biden administration, that started blowing the whistle on Biden's health being all fucked up. But anyway, they were on there and they were talking about this, and Amy Dangerfield, who used to do the Saucecast with Adam Sosnick, had a breakdown and began crying over this, because there are so many girls that are not receiving justice because for what? For intelligence purposes or for political purposes or whatever these purposes are. These crimes are being covered up, and these girls, these young women now, are not going to receive justice. And it's unacceptable. And people are very upset about this. And I'm upset about it. And I think everybody should be upset about it. These are the most vulnerable people. When the left talks about the vulnerability of these classes of people, like you're talking about young teenage girls, 14 to 17 years old, being taken advantage of by rich and powerful people. And nobody cares about it except for a small group of us on the right that are saying, no, dude, you can't keep covering this up, because it could be your child. It could be anybody's child getting caught up in this nonsense.
Yeah, I am obsessed with it, but I'm not going to let it go. And I implore everybody, guys, this is going to be a story just like JFK, just like everything, just like the Russia collusion, just like freaking COVID. We're going to forget about it. And it's just not right, Adam. We're being leveraged by other countries. Could it be Mossad? Could it be the MI6? Could it be KGB? No, bro. We have to have accountability to know. Because, Adam, if we don't stop it now, it's going to keep happening. Plain and simple. That's it. That's why I'm obsessed with it.
I totally appreciate your perspective and why you get completely emotional, especially on the child sex trafficking thing. I think, as I've said before, there's things that matter and there's things that you can control. And where I tend to focus is where those two things intersect. And I know we have a big platform, so we have the ability to have these types of conversations. In my opinion, there's a lot of people that are obsessed with this.
Yes.
That they have zero control over this. Mm-hmm. And these are the types of people, in my opinion, that a lot of these people are what I would call losers, or as what Andrew Tate described.
All right. So you're a loser. If you're worried about this and you can't do anything about it, you're a loser. If you want to talk about the Epstein situation and you don't have the power to do anything about it, you're a loser. If you're worried that your government has been involved in child sex trafficking, or Mossad has been involved in child sex trafficking, you're a loser. And I think that's what it really boils down to, is Adam does not like the fact that Israel is implicated in this. He doesn't want to look into it any further because of the possibility that Israel is implicated in it. He does not like that fact. He does not want Israel to be implicated in these things. So if we may uncover the fact that Mossad was involved in child sex trafficking along with the CIA, utilizing Jeffrey Epstein or Mike Jeffries, who used to work for Abercrombie and Fitch, who was the CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch, who was arrested a few years ago for child sex trafficking, if we find out that these tie directly to Israel, you're a loser for looking into it, because God forbid we discover the evils that Israel is involved in. This guy has defended Israel murdering children the entire Gaza war. He will not stop defending Israel. They have the right to defend themselves. Well, defending yourself isn't bombing children. It isn't utilizing a child sex trafficker to traffic children. So you keep defending Israel, dude. Be holier than thou. I'll be a loser and I'll be out here talking about it. You fucking faggot. It just pisses me off. Well, you're a loser if you want to talk about this. Okay. Well, you're a fucking faggot if you want to fucking defend a country trafficking children. God, I hope this sound has been sharing. I'm going to have to go back and listen. I don't want to have to redo this. God damn it. Ugh. But anyway. So not only is he talking about Dan Bongino or defending Israel, basically.
Dan Bongino said, listen, despite all the speculation, Jeffrey Epstein did in fact kill himself. Okay, I'll tell you why I like this. The reason I like this is because I'm not a big fan of just pure speculation. I too have played the did Epstein kill himself game because, I mean, pretty suspicious. But I believe Dan Bongino. I don't believe he's lying for the deep state. If there's one person who can be trusted not to lie for the deep state, in fact, it would be Dan Bongino. Here was Dan saying a truthful thing.
I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked.
So he believes Dan Bongino.
Dan Bongino said, listen, despite all the speculation.
These shorts, they piss me off. He believes Dan Bongino. Well, here's Dan Bongino. FBI Dan Bongino clashes with AG Bondi over handling of Epstein files. He did not go into work on Friday. He is now officially threatening to quit working with the FBI over the handling of the Epstein files. FBI Director Bongino has told people he is considering resigning amid Epstein files fallout, sources say. This is CNN, so it's the trusted name of news. Is that correct? Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino has told people he is considering resigning amid a major clash between the FBI and Justice Department over the continued fallout from the release of the Jeffrey Epstein memo. Sources familiar with the matter told CNN. This comes after a heated confrontation with Attorney General Pam Bondi over the handling of the case earlier this week. The infighting over the case came to a head during a Wednesday meeting, which included Bongino, Bondi, FBI Director Kash Patel, and White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, the sources said. Bongino and Patel were confronted about whether they were behind a story that said the FBI wanted more information released, but was ultimately stymied by the Department of Justice, they said. Bongino denied leaking that notion to News Nation, which published the story. A source familiar with the matter told CNN, though he did not sign on to a statement defending the review included in that article. I just heard something else. I'm sorry. So here's the memo. Well, I said that was the memo. Yeah, here's the memo. As part of our commitment to transparency, the Department of Justice and the Federal Bureau of Investigation have conducted an exhaustive review of investigative holdings relating to Jeffrey Epstein. To ensure that the review was thorough, the FBI conducted digital searches of its databases, hard drives, and network drives, as well as physical searches of squad areas, locked cabinets, desks, closets, and other areas where responsive material may have been stored. These searches uncovered a significant amount of material, including more than 300 gigabytes of data and physical evidence. The files relating to Epstein include a large volume of images of Epstein, images and videos of victims who are either minors or appear to be minors, and over 10,000 downloaded videos of images of illegal child sex abuse material and other pornography. Teams of agents, analysts, attorneys, and privacy and civil liberties experts comb through the digital and documentary evidence with the aim of providing as much information as possible to the public while simultaneously protecting victims. Much of the material is subject to court ordered sealing. Only a fraction of this material would have been aired publicly had Epstein gone to trial, as the seal served only to protect victims and did not expose any additional third parties to allegations of illegal wrongdoing. Through this review, we found no basis to revisit the disclosure of those materials and will not permit the release of child pornography. Nobody's asking you to. This systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. There was also no credible evidence found that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals as part of his actions. Okay, but what was his relation with Jean-Luc Brunel? Why did Jean-Luc Brunel get arrested in France in accordance with an investigation of Jeffrey Epstein? What was the relationship between those two? I know Jean-Luc Brunel is dead, but give us some information as to what that relationship was. What was his relationship with Prince Andrew? Why is Prince Andrew fingered by multiple victims? What was his relationship with Leon Black? Why did Leon Black pay the Virgin Islands $62.5 million to not charge him with crimes related to Jeffrey Epstein? What was his relationship with Les Wexner? Why has Wexner been accused of raping a 16-year-old mentally disabled girl at Epstein's mansion in New York? What was his relationship to Mossad? What was his relationship to the Saudi royal family? What was his relationship to the CIA? Bill Richardson, Ehud Barak. What was his relationship to these people? We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. Consistent with prior to, I'm sorry, is paying the Virgin Islands $62.5 million to not be charged with crimes associated with Jeffrey Epstein? Is that not evidence? I'm just saying, shouldn't that like raise a couple of hunches? Shouldn't that raise an eyebrow or two? Get you looking in Leon Black's direction? The fact that Jean-Luc Brunel was arrested in France and died in very similar circumstances to the circumstances that Epstein died in, should that not raise an eyebrow? The fact that Les Wexner has been accused of raping a 16-year-old girl at Epstein's mansion, should you not look into that? The fact that Dershowitz, Ehud Barak, Bill Richardson, Bill Clinton, Prince Andrew were all named, should that not justify some kind of investigation into what was going on due to their relationships with Jeffrey Epstein? Known relationships with Jeffrey Epstein? Consistent with prior disclosures, this review confirmed that Epstein harmed over 1,000 victims. Over 1,000 victims. In 20 years, 30 years, over what period? When did he start doing this? Was this before or after Bill Barr's dad hired him to the Dalton School? Was this before or after he worked as a financial advisor for Bear Stearns? Was this before or after Leon Black gave him $170 million? Each suffered unique trauma. Sensitive information relating to these victims is intertwined throughout the materials. This includes specific details such as victim names and likenesses, physical descriptions, places of birth, associates, and employment history. One of our highest priorities is combating child exploitation and bringing justice to victims. Perpetuating unfounded theories about Epstein serves neither of those ends. Well, everything's unfounded because nobody's investigating it. You refuse to investigate it, and then you tell us that when we're tying together these dots and we're linking these dots together, that it's unfounded. It's an unfounded theory. Is it an unfounded theory? It's only unfounded because nobody's investigating it. The only people who are investigating it are those of us out here talking about it on podcast. All us losers. To that end, while we have labored to provide the public with maximum information regarding Epstein and ensured examination of any evidence in the government's possession, it is the determination of the Department of Justice and the Federal Bureau of Investigation that no further disclosure would be appropriate or warranted. So sit down and shut up, just like with the JFK files. Just sit down and shut up. You're not getting any more information about this. You should just sit down and shut up. Quit worrying about those little girls. After a thorough investigation, FBI investigators concluded that Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide in his cell at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York City on August 10th, 2019. Well, the investigator, the coroner that was hired by his brother says it looked like murder. So there's that. We're not gonna dispute that. We're not going to talk about that. You just want us to believe the government agenda, the government propaganda. This conclusion is consistent with previous findings, including the August 19th, 2019 autopsy findings of the New York City officer of the chief medical examiner. Okay, we don't believe him. Now what? The November 2019 position of the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York. Don't believe him. Okay, now what? The conclusion that Epstein died by suicide is further supported by video footage from the common area of the special housing unit. No, it's not. It doesn't show Epstein committing suicide. It shows an area outside Epstein's cell from a second floor camera aimed out into the common area. It does not show what's going on in Epstein's cell. It does not show what is going on outside of its sight, outside of its view. There's an overhang that people could walk under that you can't see. That's out of view. But we're just supposed to, okay, yeah, this one camera angle that doesn't show Epstein's cell, that doesn't show anybody entering Epstein's cell because it doesn't show Epstein's cell, doesn't show Epstein at all, doesn't show Epstein alone or in conversation or crying or anything, is evidence that nobody entered his cell. No, it's not. That's not evidence of anything. It's not evidence of anything. The FBI's independent review of this footage confirmed that from the time Epstein was locked in his cell around 10:40 p.m. on August 9th, 2019, until around 6:30 a.m. the next morning, nobody entered any of the tiers in the SHU. Okay, nobody entered the tiers between those times. Okay. Was there somebody already there? When he entered his cell at 10:40 p.m., was there somebody already in his cell? Like, what are you trying to tell us? You're not telling us anything. We enhanced the relevant footage, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, sure. You enhanced it. Bongino's not lying, but Bongino wants to quit. You're losers. Quit talking about this. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I think I covered all that shit. It's fucking ridiculous. We're just supposed to shut up. We're supposed to shut up and enjoy the government propaganda. Just take their word for it. They wouldn't lie to you. By the way, today I'm drinking Ziegenbach. They wouldn't lie to you. It's all on the up and up. Government's never lied about anything. Never. MK Ultra, Operation Mockingbird, all these things, just figments of your imagination. Operation Gladio, Iran Contra. They've never lied about anything. They wouldn't lie to you. Fucking ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous. We got to put up with this bullshit. It's obvious why people want answers. When you see a little girl, when you see a 17-year-old girl, 18-year-old girl, 16-year-old girl who's been devastated by sexual assault, by sexual abuse, by a rich and powerful man, she has no comeuppance. She has no ability to fight back. The only ability she has to fight back is if those of us who are out here paying attention to this story keep talking about it. And don't let Donald Trump shut you up. Don't let Adam Sosnick with his Israel obsession shut you up. Don't let Ben Shapiro shut you up. That's it. That's all you can do. All you can do is keep paying attention, keep demanding answers, and keep saying Epstein did not kill himself. If he did, prove it. Prove he killed himself. Prove that he and Ghislaine alone have thousands of victims. The only those two, nobody else, only them. Prove it. I don't see how it's even fucking possible that there weren't other people involved. With his ties to power and money, 4 different properties, including a private island. He named his plane the Lolita Express. I mean, come on. It's just fucking insanity. And we're just supposed to believe, oh, it was just him. It was just him. Anyway, that's all I got for that. I'm going to UFC this week, so I'm getting this episode out early. And shit, by the time freaking Thursday rolls around and I normally release these episodes, who knows what we found out? Pongino may have quit. Cash Patel's even talking about possibly resigning from what the leaks are saying. They're demanding that Pam Bondi is released or they're going to resign. So the battle keeps going, and don't give up on the freaking narrative. Don't give up on talking about this subject because it is a very important subject, has been a very important subject for a long time. I know Ryan Dawson has spent years investigating this stuff and talking about it. So, yeah, that's all I got for y'all. Y'all have a good week. I'll be releasing this today, this evening, whatever. So, all right. Now I got yard work to do and all kinds of other shit to take care of. Apparently, I got to do laundry too. So, all right. Y'all have a good one. Late.